See. Let's see. Let me repeat myself. All of these tools that we've learned to restore a photo can also be used to help retouching. I'm actually going to show you a technique for retouching next week. However, the tools are part of that. So I'm going to start with just how we did with the photo restoration. I need to start a new blank layer. And on this one, I'm going to stick to the patch tool to help reverse some of the aging process, let's say. So what I do is I'm going to look for wrinkles, and I'm going to make a selection around those wrinkles with the patch tool. And then I'm going to click and drag where I want it to kind of stamp from. So maybe just below here. I'll press Command D to undo that. And you'll notice that it didn't quite get it just right. One of the things I can do with this new blank layer is I can adjust the opacity to kind of reduce the effect, which will help blend it together a little bit. Because one of the things you want to be really careful about with faces is that I see, there's this one guy on Flickr I follow, and his stuff, I don't want to be an a-hole and tell him his photos look awful, but they do. He blurs the skin in order to retouch all of his photos, and I just want to strangle. They're terrible. Oh, they look awful. Skin has texture, right? It has a texture to it. And no matter how much work you do to a photo or to someone's face to kind of remove blemishes and things like that, you want to keep some of that texture in. You do that by working on a new layer and reducing the opacity of the kinds of things that you do. So I'm going to go ahead and select the other eye. So I'll make kind of a selection. I don't have to grab all of it. I just want to remove, I just kind of want to reduce some of that. And it's always important for you to show and hide your layer. Do you see how much I was able to do very, very quickly? You don't have to remove every single blemish on a person's face. This is natural to have certain blemishes. But in photo, or I guess facial retouching, let's call it. So I'll go ahead and select this. You know, the patch tool is going to have a hard time whenever you have edges. So I'm a little bit concerned. It might try to because what it does is it's going to blend it with the surrounding pixels. It doesn't understand that there's hair over here. So when I try to blend this with another patch of clear skin, it might kind of pick up the hair. Yeah, it didn't do too bad. And this is kind of where working on multiple blank layers will help you, because you're going to want to reduce the opacity sometimes. I'll grab my patch tool again. So much in the same way that you, let's see what that does. That's going to be kind of weird. Let me see. I'll redo this part right here. Much in the same way that you restored an old photo, you can make changes to faces. That looks really bad, so I'm just going to delete that layer and start over, which happens sometimes. Sometimes you just got to start over. Again, using that window method is really, really important if you're going to zoom in. So I'll go up horizontal this time, I guess, and then, I need to create, sorry, I forgot. So I'm going to go to Arrange, New Window from, and then if you have multiple files open, you may have to click this tab and then drag it into the new window. Do you guys see how I'm doing that? I'm dragging that new tab. So because I selected 2UP, I had some other files open. It didn't pick the file that I wanted it to put in that new tab. So, and if I hold down the space bar, I can bring up that hand tool just like in Illustrator and move that around and get looking around here. I don't recommend zooming in too far. If you zoom in too far to faces, you're going to be really tempted to fix every single little blemish, and that's totally not necessary. Very much not necessary. And let's see, from here I'm going to open up the next file called blemishes.jpg, which I think was very deliberately, let's see, oh, I need to, if you ever want to get out of these windows, you can always go to Window, Arrange, Consolidate all to tabs. It's kind of like the undo for this window mode. So Window, Arrange, Consolidate all to tabs if you want to go back to where you were. So with blemishes.jpg, I think there were several blemishes very deliberately created on here. I'm going to create a new blank layer. Of course, I see a lot of spots. Which tool helps me deal with spots the best? The spot healing tool. And if I, let's see, making sure that sample all layers is checked, I'll go ahead and make sure, I think by default it says heal with content aware. That should work. I'm on a new blank layer, and I'm going to just click around here and get rid of these blemishes. I think Professor Z like went in and deliberately added blemishes to this photo. But, which, you know, if you don't like somebody, you can go in and add these blemishes. So that one gets done pretty darn quickly. The older woman.jpg is probably going to take you a little bit more time than the blemishes.jpg is going to be pretty fast. That spot healing brush tool is going to knock that out very quickly. Dealing with more detailed issues. All right, that concludes that little part.